and welcome. I'm Oles Gerjuk and you're watching Head to Head on UATV. In 2018, Ukrainians have the opportunity to protect their civil rights with the help of a free legal aid network supported by the National Educational Project called I Have a Right. Who will benefit from this initiative and how is it being realized in Kiev? We will discuss this issue in our studio with Stanislav Kutsenko, head of the Kiev Territorial Justice Department. Hello and thank you for being with us, Stanislav.
Good afternoon.
So first of all, how much are Ukrainians aware of what their rights are?
First of all, we have the problem that was actual for all years of independence, that Ukrainians really don't know their rights, they don't know how to use them, and they were not taught rights at all, let's say in school, universities, or even by parents. Why? Because adults also don't know their rights in Ukraine, and that's why we launched the whole national program that called I Have a Right. And this year, according to decree of President, is the year of the project I Have a Right. And it works in all regions of Ukraine. It is all national project. And in Kyiv, we always conduct a lot of activities in frame of I Have a Right campaign. Accordingly, people can see big boards, city lights. We spread brochures. We have social reels on TV screens to describe the rights of people. But for sure, we need time, because if we didn't deal with rights in the past, we need to have a lot of things to be done now.
Yeah, well, that's the whole process of education, probably, to educate the population about the rights. But what are the main sources of information that are used in this project? I mean, the sources of information about what kinds of rights one is guaranteed.
First of all, we concentrated on the most important spheres of Ukrainians' life. So it's how to protect their business, first of all, and how to protect their property. Because we have a lot of radar schemes when people is taken out of their property, for example, part of flat, land, other goods, other property issues, and we explain them how to use the abilities of state to protect their rights. For example, we have commission based on every territorial department of justice, also based on Ministry of Justice, that can protect property. We explain people how to apply with certain documents to protect their right. We then punish state register who dealt with such issue, and now we have even criminal prosecution for such people if they break the right of Ukrainians on property, because I need to mention that it's demand of international society for property to be protected in Ukraine. It's only one direction.
Mm-hmm.
Second,
but just a second, but could you provide all this information just in brochure?
Actually, in brochure, we have exact steps how to protect their rights. Mm-hmm. But we run campaign also through open sources of media. We have TV reels. It's like social advertisement. People can get to know how to protect their rights. But for sure, we have a website, pravo.minjust.ua, where you have concrete instructions what to do in exact situations. Also, people can call to hotline of Central of Legal Aid. It works 24/7, this hotline. People can get their first information about protection their rights. And also we recommend for people to use the system and network of legal aid centers in Ukraine. There are more than 500 such centers in every, let's say, more or less big city. But also we have a town. Also we have 1,000 distant centers of legal aid, for example, in schools, in libraries, in remote regions, where people can get also, we call it primary legal aid consultation, how to protect their right, how to apply with right document to state body or other entities. And also we provide people with secondary legal aid. It's when a person have a right to get state lawyer, state attorney. It is free of charge because he or she is paid by from state budget. Mm-hmm. And for example, people who are disabled, who have very low social level, they have a right for free state attorney.
But how much are Ukrainians aware of this kind of service that you are doing?
It's a very painful question. Why? Because the system is very active now, but due to abilities of ministry, due to our initiatives, from 2016 we started to develop it very fast. Because before this there were only few centers in Ukraine where people could apply and ask for help, legal aid. But now we have very wide network. We have huge information campaign. For example, even now, me and you, we have promoting the idea of protecting their rights, and also our next step is cooperation with Ministry of Education to change school programs for children also to start their rights, because now our target audience is from 16 years old for people, and we need to start from early ages.
Of course, this should be a part of education.
Yes,
of course.
Children to be aware of that of their rights, and I'm sure that is a huge basis for civil society of Ukraine if we have such rights-based education.
Yeah, and also children should know their children's rights.
For sure, because you know, for example, very important issue now on alimony. Now the owners of payments on alimony are children. So they owe that money. For sure, we understand that some of them are quite young, and parents help them with this. But before this, only parents could deal with money, and that's why we have now bigger protections of rights of children, let's say.
Mm-hmm. And what could you provide in this case with the alimony?
Alimony is a very sensitive question for Ukrainian society, because we have now more than 600,000 cases when people don't pay alimony, and that's why we adopted the whole law on strengthened responsibility on non-payment of alimonies.
Could you specify what is the responsibility right now, and what could be the penalty that you wanted, that you would like to implement?
First of all, it could be criminal penalty. It was no longer before, because a person can be now even imprisoned for non-payment of alimony. Yes, but we have also some pre-stages. Let's say, for example, person can be easily not allowed to go abroad of non-payment of alimonies more than for 6 months. Also, those ones who don't pay alimonies more than 3 months, they go to United State Register of Debtors, and in that state registry there are also deputies, representatives of a huge business, and this registry is public now, and it started to work like 9 days ago, and we have already some cases when people who consider themselves to be influential, they already paid because they don't want to be on that list. Because it is public, every person can know who doesn't pay alimony, and with this, such person who doesn't pay, he or she breaks rights of child, because child is not protected, and it's like economical criminal case against child.
But are these legislative changes that you've mentioned, are they already adopted, or are they on the bill phase?
The law was signed in January. Starting from this month, it is in act, and it works now. And so we have first protocols.
It went into force. Mm-hmm.
Yes, we had first protocols on 6th of February, and tomorrow and day after tomorrow we will have first prohibitions to leave Ukraine, first prohibitions to omit driving license. Now person can cannot have a right to drive a car. To drive a car from 3 to 6 months, and also now parent, for example, cannot so easily prohibit for mother, for example, to go with child abroad, because before this it was a huge problem that mother, for example, wants to go with child to sea coast, for example, and father, for example, use this case not to.
He denies. Yes, yeah, he doesn't give his permission. Well, you mentioned alimony debts and protection of agrarian businesses from raider attacks. What are the other directions that this project is working on?
Other directions are protecting of big business. For example, we have adopted the law. It is called anti-raider law. According to that law, it's not so easy now to check enterprises and business in Ukraine. Especially, it was very sensitive for foreign investors in Ukraine because they wanted their business to be protected here. And as I told, we have special commission based on Ministry of Justice that protects such rights. And also we have adopted changes to national system of laws. And now, for example, it's not so easy to have like mask shows that it was before.
Does it demand some warrant? The checking process, for example, does it demand to have the warrant issued by some institution?
For sure. Now they can only make checks by permission of authorized bodies. Also, everything should be filmed. It's no possibility now to do it without witnesses. Also, such businessman or entrepreneur can invite attorney at that point, and if there is no presence of anyone who can protect you, then such activities of checking bodies are not legal. And these cases showed that now business can feel more protected in Ukraine, and we even started to grow in national rates on protection of business in Ukraine.
And what are the other directions?
Also, we deal with bribery in universities.
Great.
Because students sometimes they even want to fight with bribery in university, but they have no way and no recipe how to do this. So, in mentioned before brochures and on website, we propose the scheme how to protect their right.
But very often students are very dependent in these situations. When they do not bribe or when they would report about the bribery, they would become a victim. In this case?
You know, in this case, we need to raise social awareness and legal awareness of students and of people of Ukraine. Because when you try to protect your right alone, you most often...
You can never succeed.
Yes, no success in protecting of your rights. That's why we propose to students to fight together against this problem. Because teacher in university or dean or rector is not a god. If you see that there are violences of your rights and you learn on a good level and you're ready not to pay for studying, because sometimes it's easier to pay, and we need to overcome this obstacle in minds of Ukrainians, in brains of Ukrainians as well. Because if you want to get a normal education on high level, you need to go to classes and have normal education. And in this sphere also is important to legalize work of students, because they need to have a right study and also to work, because now a lot of students they work and pay for their exams. And with campaign on no bribery in universities, we also plan to change the whole situation in Ukraine. But for sure we need some time. It couldn't be changed like in 1 year. We need some time to change a bit minds of Ukrainians.
In the worst case scenario, would this free aid initiative provide a free lawyer for the student to sue, for example, to sue the teacher or somebody who is demanding money for the education or the result?
In Kyiv, we have 150 lawyers who are hired by Center of Legal Aid. But it's very important to understand that for state lawyer, not everyone can apply. If student is socially dependent, if he is internally displaced person, or his parents, for example, or father was participant of anti-terroristic operation, he has a right for such a lawyer. But first of all, we advise to everyone to use primary legal aid. In Kyiv, there are 4 centers on legal aid, 2 on left bank, 2 on right bank.
Of the city, yeah.
Of the city of Dnipro. People can apply there, students as well. Because they can have a consultation from us how to protect their rights. And I always recommend them to address to our Territorial Department of Justice, because we give consultations and we have memorandums on cooperation with 25 universities. So we always consult students on their rights, and hopefully we raise their awareness in this case also.
Well, and as far as I know, this initiative, this project is also touching the issue of protection of women's rights and fighting the domestic violence.
It's quite right. Actually, the amendments to appropriate laws were adopted. Also, a Istanbul Convention, clauses of it were implemented in Ukraine. And now it's very important. It is very important change that people who contact with people who were victims of domestic violence, for example, teachers, medical workers. They need to tell to police that they have even suspicion that a person was a victim of domestic violence. They are like agents who needs to deliver this information, and in this case, even if person is scared to tell about domestic violence, somebody from social sphere could help it with applying with appropriate information to national policy, and vice versa. If they don't inform national police, in this case, then they can have administrative punishment.
Well, this is a very important and touchy issue, and it is very good that last December we adopted the law to criminalize the domestic violence. So, unfortunately, we are running out of time, so my last question would be, what challenges do you face currently with implementing this program, and what help would you ask for?
First of all, we need to run as many information pieces of campaign as possible. We try to do this in current situation. Also, the second challenge is a non-will of Ukrainians to know their rights, because it's easier to ask for state on help. For sure, we are ready to help, we are ready to protect, but first of all, people, they need to interest with their rights. They need to have interest on mechanisms how to protect them. In this case, if we have demand from people, it would be easier to deliver information to them, because,
of course,
yes, people in big cities, they are active, but in small villages, towns, they very reliant on governing bodies, and they don't want to be active.
Well, from our side, we're ready to help you with that, and thank you so much for this conversation.
Thank you too.
That was Stanislav Kutsenko, head of the Kiev Territorial Justice Department. Thank you for watching Head to Head. I'm Oles Gerjuk. Goodbye.